The build-up and aftermath of Ramaphosa's visit to President Trump has kept me glued to channels that I trust on YouTube. The impact of this epic event has frightening consequences, and for all this time, I've been swinging between doomsday prepping and paralyzing anxiety about being able to support my family. The threat is real, and the data confirms that some consequences are inevitable. Yet something's been nagging at me, quietly at first, but more insistent as my anxiety grew. Anyone entering the entrepreneurial world has heard how hard it is. Staying disciplined with your focus and energy is a big part of this, because not being able to do this will set your business back. Employees might be able to get away with a temporary lack of focus, but a business owner doesn't have the same luxury. Today, we're going to talk about an African proverb that challenged me to fix my mindset and start reclaiming some composure. It goes like this. A cat that dreams of becoming a lion must first lose its appetite for rats. For me, this lies at the heart of self-determination and courage. And in an age of widespread uncertainty and instant access to media madness, it's more important than ever to strengthen your ability to focus on what is, rather than on what might come. I'm Tracy. I support the thinking, behavior, and skill shifts needed for small business owners to grow stronger, scale faster, delight customers, and make more money. Let's get back to that proverb. Since this channel is about entrepreneurship, I'm really going to link this to business, but it applies to just as powerfully to parenting, self-esteem, or sports performance. Anytime you look at your situation and imagine being in a stronger place, you're dreaming of becoming a lion. We all have a dream in us. It might be a small lion or a Jurassic lion, but changing from cat to lion, regardless of its size, is a huge change. It's change at a genetic level. This proverb tells us that to change, you must stop thinking like a cat. You must stop consuming things that keep you small. You must stop chasing what you're used to chasing. Are you feeling the power of this proverb yet? You can't become greater when you feed on rats. And for the past several weeks, I've been feeding on rats. I've been focusing on the what-ifs and threats and limitations of my inner cat. I've been so distracted that I've even forgotten that my dream isn't to be a fat cat, it's to be a lion. Let's attach some mindset-y science to this story and get clear on how disempowering this type of thinking can be. The world of denying natural or comfort zone behavior is one of risk, courage, and unwavering vision. The truth is that just about every person has a dream of some sort. Some people dream without doing, some dream and do a little bit, and then some people dream and do whatever it takes until they achieve their goal. Achieving anything is about being able to overcome resistance. The bigger the goal, the bigger is the resistance. The bigger the resistance, the harder it is. The bigger the change necessary to shift. Even without external interference, the resistance created when you want to change something is a threat to your inner equilibrium or your normal balance. Where before you had complete certainty, any change that you introduces uncertainty, and we're hardwired not to like this. It's not safe. Some people have less of a threat response when it comes to change, and they're the ones who take big risks. They're the ones jumping off the cliffs. They go all in. They're much more comfortable with risk or comfortable with that resistance, and this really protects them to a certain degree. But for those of us who have a lower risk tolerance, it takes a lot more effort to handle change and uncertainty. Being a business owner means that there must be a minimum risk tolerance.
You just don't know when to give up, do you?
You're like this all day.
Without it, You'd be too scared to do anything in case you fail and end up begging on the street corner to feed your family. People go into employment for safety, although we can debate just how safe that route is, but that's a video for another time. People go into business in pursuit of their lionness. What does it take then if you're not naturally born with thick skin and big sharp teeth? You have to work at it, and you have to know that working at it is worth the effort. Dan Ariely, author of Predictably Irrational and arguably the world's leading behavioural economist, shares two powerful tools. The first is remove things that will distract you. Make sure that your environment supports your goal. In my case, only catch up on news for a set amount of time rather than hours and hours of searching absolutely every single piece of news I can get my hand on. And also absolutely no YouTube in the morning because it just messes up my mindset for the whole day. For someone who wants to lose weight, it's the equivalent of clearing your house of any junk food and just making sure that you're stocked up on all healthy choices. This is about identifying the rats and making sure that they aren't running all over the place, distracting you. The second thing that Dan Ariely advises is to focus on your process rather than the goal. Now, this one was hard for me to get at first because my thinking was, shouldn't you keep focused on becoming a lion? Am I more lion-y today than yesterday? And how can I become even more lion-y tomorrow? But his approach is so much stronger. He says, how well did I manage my rats today? What can I do to manage my rats next week? I imagine that. Just work on overcoming the distractions. Work on the process that supports your goals. Stay focused on improving your behavior, because the only way to become a lion is to lose your appetite for rats, and the only way you can do that is to discipline yourself to not want, chase, or generally obsess about rats. So let's apply this as an example in business. If your challenge is that you hate cold calling, you'll have to focus on your sales process. You would need to set up your area or your environment just for calls. So that's having easy access to a tracking sheet, pen and paper, or a CRM, depending on how you capture information. Have the list of calls that you want to make the sales call time for the same time every day and for the same amount of time. And where you can, close out notifications from email, social media, WhatsApp, all of that. Also, do you have a script? You must have a script. You don't just wing your calls, and you need to be disciplined about this and track how well or how badly or poorly you followed your process. Remember, first you need to remove the distractions and set up your environment to support your process, and then you follow your process and rate your performance based on how well you followed it. Of course, this does mean that you need a process, and if this is something that you need help with, you can reach out to me in the comments. At the end of every week, look at the goals that you've set yourself and understand what worked and what didn't. Now remember, when I say look at the goals you set yourself, this is about looking at how well you followed your processes. This is a great way to reality test your performance and to make sure that you aren't distracted for too long before regaining that control. When we focus on perfecting the process, we're more likely to get where we want to be. So please share some of the cats that you've dealt with and some of the ways that you've overcome them or learned to lose your appetite for them. And let's keep supporting each other through the ups, the downs, and everything in between in starting and growing a healthy business. See you next time.